Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you enjoyed your lunch. My name is Will Strauss. I'm one of the editors here at SVG Europe. I shall be your host for this next session, where we're going to be looking in a bit more detail on the gamification of football, touching on some themes that were mentioned this morning. This session is called Sensible Soccer, Inside the Gamification of Football Coverage. We're going to delve into how broadcasters and production teams are adopting fresh angles and player perspectives, enhancing graphics and increasing interactivity in order to provide football coverage and viewing experiences that appeal to new and often younger audiences. Joining me to do that today are Uwe Koenig, at the far end, who's Sky Sport Austria Vice President, Dennis Galejski from DFL, Head of Product Management, and Emili Planas, Mediapro CTO. Welcome to you all. Thank you for joining me today. Much appreciated. We're going to talk in detail about both the German and Austrian Bundesliga and Spain's La Liga. And we're going to show you some examples. But before we do, we're going to set some parameters for the conversation. So, Dennis, starting with you, if we may, what do we mean by gamification, please?
So for me, gamification, when we look at it from our product portfolio perspective, is incorporating some of the core elements from gamification. For me, that's on a visual level, graphics, perspective, different formats. It's also on an audio level. We have the luck to have with Derek Ray, one commentator who's very famous in the gaming industry. And it's also haptics. So what's the touch and the feel to transport this into a broadcast?
Thanks very much. On a similar theme, Uwe, why does football, which is the world's most popular sport, and as we found out this morning, still the most valuable in terms of media rights revenues, why does it need gamifying?
So I'm a big fan of entertainment, innovations, and insights, and I work for a small country and a small Bundesliga in Austria. And we push all these things to get more entertainment. We have a lot of discussions and meetings with the league and with the clubs to be more open for these kind of things, and that's very important. I think that that we had a lot of innovations for the football.
Okay. So we've established what we're going to be talking about. Let's get right into some examples. We're going to go to Spain to start with. Emili, while we chat, we're going to show on the screen some examples. So we could have the VT playing while we chat, please. Thank you very much. So Emili, talk us through what we're about to see on screen. It'll be on there in a second. We've got graphics that sort of look like the PlayStation, and we've got camera shots with a shallow depth of field. But talk us through what we're seeing and why these things have been put into place.
I don't know if I can follow the pictures with what
you're
I
very
will explain,
versatile, you'll be fine.
I think the idea of the gamification on La Liga and all the competitions we cover is try to better explain the story to the fans. Doesn't mean if the fans are younger or older. In general, all kind of fans likes the innovation, and this innovation sometimes means shots that seems more gamified. No? For La Liga, we introduced the cinematic camera a long time ago, and our surprise was the newsletters. Some newsletters announced this experience as the PlayStation camera. We were surprised as a cinema industry to explain this camera in this way, but we understood that the shot we show is very similar to the what you can see on the PlayStation. Also, we added the body cam, for example, that is has impact on the pre-match. We produced it as a POC for TikTok in several leagues to be able to understand what it means to tell the story in vertical to this kind of fans. We added for La Liga the multicam feed, including casters on this multicam feed, where the casters are young narrators of the competition. Also, we using the drones, for example, and thanks to the HDR production, that is part of this, what we can consider the gamifying, because the major part of the games, the e-games are in HDR, and the picture is amazing with this kind of technologies, no? And of course the graphics. Yeah. The graphics probably is the most important gamified part, because thanks to the tracking we have in live of all what's happening inside the pitch, we can create new graphics thanks to the data we collect, explaining better and comparing better all what's happening in the field, and this is really very important for the fans.
So on that point, operationally speaking, so you're putting graphics over the top of live coverage in some cases. Is that a more complicated operational procedure? Is it more expensive? And how is it going to increase value?
It's more expensive.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, I try to explain to every time that someone asks me if this is complex or not. If you know how to do it, it's not complex. If you don't know how to do it, it's complex. Anyway, the question is, it's much more complex than the simple graphics, of course. We need to synchronize a lot of streaming information we receive from the tracking system, from the historical databases, to compare one season to another. All this kind of information needs to be filtered and offered to the viewers in an understandable way, because the quantity of information we have is absolutely impossible to understand for the major part of the people, including the coaches. And to do this, obviously, is expensive, but to decrease the cost, there are some formulas. For example, in Mediapro, we centralized all these services remotely into the stadiums. We don't have equipment, technical equipment. We are receiving all the information from the stadium in Barcelona. And in Barcelona, we have all the people and the equipment in charge of all these virtual graphics and augmented reality graphics.
Thank you. Before we move away from La Liga, just briefly on the prime lenses. So first of all, how is that helping to tell the story, which was the first thing you said? But the way you use them, I think it's on a Steadicam, for example, you're flipping between cinema mode and, let's be frank, TV mode. Mm-hmm. That's asking quite a lot of the workflow. So explain to us briefly how that works, please.
Yeah. We classify the cinema camera in two different levels. The basic level, you can do this with a DSLR camera and autofocus lenses, prime lenses or zoom lenses, whatever. It's better in prime lenses, using a very open iris with lower values to have a depth of field in film mode. But this limits the creativity to the TV director, because it's a camera that has a look and feel absolutely different than the other cameras. And in some of the models, it's difficult to correct the color, to match the color with other cameras producing in HDR. This is much more complex also. And the tier 1 level, usually we are, we started with the Sony Venice, but now we are using the red cameras, because they are better for integration in the HDR production, and well, the red people are responding very well to our requests. And the secret of this is a tool we use to change the amount of light that impacts in the sensor, changing the iris value. We change the iris value, but we don't change the quantity of light impacting to the sensor. This offers the possibility to, using a focus puller that has control on this, we can go to TV mode during the game when the players are, or when the ball is running. But when the goal happens and the players come to the cameras, We change the mode smoothly, and the same picture starts as a TV picture with a large depth of field, and finish in a cinematic or PlayStation mode with this look and feel that enhances the hero. That's the key.
Got it. Thank you very much. Let's switch leagues. Let's talk about the German Bundesliga. This is going to be quite a different reel, but if we could show Dennis's video on the screen, please, while we talk. We're going to look at interactive personal feed, which I know was mentioned earlier. There's some tactical feed, there's social media. But Dennis, just give us a sort of overview of what we're looking at here, please.
As the video is probably anyways running way faster than I will be speaking, may you allow me one addition to what Uwe said regarding why gamification. For me, there's two profound, I would say, behavioral aspects very of importance. The first one is the instinct to play as a behavioral impulse of every human being. So football is already playing. Most of us, we are consuming this passively. So gamifying this passive experience is already one very high motivation, or for me, more an aspect, already an integral part of gamification. The second one is changing media consumption behavior. I don't want to delve too much into it, but we conducted our studies. The next gen stats or the next gen fan wants a very lean forward experience. More individualization, more use of second screen. Not only, they're not sitting through 90 minutes, everybody knows in this room. So we really need to cater those needs as well. So.
Thank you. And how does that, what you've just explained there, how's that reflected on what we're seeing on screen?
Thank you. Perfect. Like, first of all, besides or beyond all the perspectives, which gives a unique angle and touch on the visual part I mentioned in the beginning. It's also now the referee cam, which has been gained some traction also in the press here. We recently launched, so there's always something new. We want to delve into it, but also we launched the interactive feed, the world's first personalized football experience tailored for the mobile generation. What does it mean? Hopefully everybody of you knows that Bundesliga has a core kickoff slots, which is Saturday, 15:30, with 5 matches running in parallel. And with that experience, you have everything at your fingertips. You can select the match you would like, the instance you want to watch, football, goals, chances, VAR decisions, and you can tailor it totally to your needs and also leave those matches, if there are any of no interest, out. So very lean forward, and also you have all the stats, all the graphics at your fingertips. If you don't like them, you don't need to have them on the screen. So very, very lean forward experience for the generation.
I'd like to delve briefly into the referee stuff. When we did a session like this in London before Christmas, we spoke to the Premier League about how difficult it is to get permission to do stuff like that. Tell me, how on earth did you get to the place where your referees are being mic'd up and cameras attached to them? How easy was it? How did you get there? And operationally, how easy is it to implement?
It's true, it's not easy at all. I have a great team, and we were tackling it from different angles. And I need to say, our angle wasn't only introducing the referee cam. For us, it was a wider story that we want to have a documentary about the referee. So a couple of aspects came together. First of all, the FA in Germany also being very progressive recently, that they want to get new referees into the system. So we said, okay, we want to do a documentary that will be visible worldwide. So we had their buy-in, and then obviously, and everybody or some mention of you, IFAB. We also got the permission from IFAB to have the referee cam, but also because I had some discussions. You're wondering, it has been a test case, so it's nothing like it maybe also was in the news that we plan a serial implementation of the referee cam, but just because we're not allowed to do so at that point. But yeah, it took some time, but we are happy that we managed to get all the approvals, last but not least also from the clubs, and now releasing the footage very soon. And it's also a very important case. Right now it's only for post-production and not or near-live use cases.
Thank you. We may touch on this again, but I'm going to give Uwe a chance to talk before we do. Before we chat, could we just see the Sky Austria reel, please? Thank you. Thank you. So Sky Austria, with respect, a slightly smaller in terms of prestige league and also a slightly more nimble part of the Sky family. But talk us through how that helps you. But what have we seen there? What sort of things? There's some robot cameras, there's dollies, there's cabins. Talk us through what we've just had a look at.
Yes, some things are more possible than in other countries. That's very good for us, and I like it very much. So you saw some camera systems. We tried some things with a RoboCam, also with a body cam during the warm-up at a Champions League match. But the next step is I would like to have it during the match, but it's not so easy. So a lot of discussions and a lot of meetings. So and the clubs, some clubs are open for these kind of things, and some not so. And yeah, we are very proud of Sky Next Generation. It's a feed from kids for kids. Yeah, it's very cool. And we love it, and we push all these kind of innovations, and we would like to have more of them.
What's the reaction been to say, let's say the Sky Kids thing? What's the reaction been to that? And also, how do you gauge success for something like that?
You know, it's for social media. It's good, and it's also good for the younger generation. So we would like to have the younger generation as the viewers, and the kids they can ask some questions. It's not allowed for a normal reporter. They can ask whatever they want, and that's funny and that's good. And I like it very much. So we do it sometimes, not at every match day, but 4, 5, 5 times per year.
Football is an inherently conservative sport. Small c, we're not talking politics, small c is inherently conservative if you compare it to some modern, newer sports. And it's very proud of its heritage, okay? So realistically, looking at all those things you've done there, now some are in the day-to-day live output and recording output for all your broadcasters and all your output. But some of those things are trials. Referee cam that Dennis has described is a trial. So realistically, of all the things we're seeing there, which will become the norm? Which are we going to absorb into our workflow so they just become part of it? Dennis, what do you think? Which of these bits, because bearing in mind the permissions required, the operational challenges, the cost, as Emily pointed out, which actually these things might become part of the actual output of football coverage in a mainstream way?
It's a tough question because there are so many variables, but I definitely believe it's always a back and forth. We keep pushing boundaries, and then after the 10th no, we might get a yes. And so something like the referee cam, I think it's on the horizon. As soon as IFAB gives the go, then we will have it probably implemented in a couple of leagues and also enriching the broadcasts. So it really depends on what you are looking for specifically. In this case, it's not a technical hurdle we need to overcome. So
yeah, it rarely is technical. I mean, that's the thing about this. A lot of these things are all doable. That's why you're able to do them. But if operationally, if regulatory-wise you can't do them, then we're having a lot of fun and it's great. But actually, we're not gamifying anything, are we? So, Emily, same sort of question to you. Which are the things that we're talking about now, which are going to become part of, do you think, La Liga's long-term output?
I think, well, La Liga is one example of what the Tier 1 competitions are doing. But we need to remember that to cover football matches, there are not only Tier 1 competitions. And obviously each one has their resources and their capabilities to engage their fans and to offer what the fans need. At the end, technically speaking, or thinking on the tools we are using or we are proposing, all of them are to increase the value of what we are telling to the viewers or to the fans. And these kind of tools will be adapted depending on the budget of each one. For La Liga, they are interested on all the innovations that can help to tell the story much better every time and to offer to the fans more than what they think they need. In principle, for La Liga, it's important to be reference on how to explain the story. La Liga started producing in HDR 6-7 years ago, when nobody understood what it means to produce in HDR. And this kind of new technologies are deployed thanks to this mentality to improve and to better explain the story. But obviously, the story is much more important than the technology. If you don't have nothing to tell, you can add a lot of cameras, but then you need to explain the story.
Thank you. Uwe, who ultimately decides? Viewers, subscribers, production teams, SVPs? Who decides which of these things will go forward?
The clubs, the league,
clubs, yeah.
and the host broadcasts and the TV stations. So I would like to have all these things that's normal in other sports. So normal in other sports at the Formula One, it's possible to make an interview with the driver 10 minutes before starts, yeah, and they risk their lives. And at football, it's always you said, okay, 2 days before match, oh, it's really difficult. I have to focus, yeah. I can't understand it. So cabin cameras has to be normal, yes. So we would like to show emotions, and in US sports it's possible to make an interview in the cabin, in the dressing rooms. Why not at football? So and all these things, I think the football has to be more open and look to other sports, handball, basketball, head coaches with microphones, and why it's not possible at football. Mm-hmm.
So we started looking forward already. So we're going to carry on that theme for the last few minutes. So Dennis, we've seen some examples of what you've tried already. I've got a couple of things I think you're going to touch on. But the first one, if we can just show the video while Dennis describes it to us. This is something that was using an Apple headset. Is this the kind of way we might be watching football in the future?
I would also put a question mark to it. We had VR once. There. Maybe it's now mixed reality is there to stay with the new devices coming on, also being or entering the mass market. It will be very interesting, a lot of opportunities. This will be a showcase we will have at the Sports Innovation in Düsseldorf in a couple of weeks. So yeah, it's I think on all of us how this will develops.
Another thing that we talked about in the briefing call was the ability to use health data.
Yeah, that's something I would really like to see coming. Again, there are regulatory problems. Who owns the data? But imagine what you could do if you have not only the heart rate, you can also derive the duration from a player. And then you can say, okay, are you able to run as fast and as far as Cristiano Ronaldo with your iPhone or tracking it? So this will be like something where you can really tap into so many topics or fields, so that would be very interesting to see. And
again, that's IFAB, right?
It is, yeah.
They're coming out as the bad guys today, aren't they? But maybe this is just something I'm picking up on. But it seems to be the regulatory rules body, without their blessing, these kind of things are just still streaming up. Is that fair?
Then we need to come up with other creative solutions, like the interactive feed in our case. So I wouldn't say it's the only thing, but obviously some of the innovations, and Uwe, you mentioned something, we need the approval of the IFAB, and then it's also not inventing the wheel, it's more like progressing and making or evolutionizing. But for others, I think it's also on us, new camera perspectives there, we don't need the IFAB for, we can do it by ourselves.
Thank you. Emily, from your point of view, what other things could we do? Volumetric capture, for example, is that something?
Yeah, volumetric capture can be one of the next tools we will use in a lot of, first in tier 1 competitions, but then in more competitions. But up to today, the volumetric capture is based on try to recreate as better as possible the reality. This means systems like the Canon FreeView that needs more than 100 cameras in a stadium. What it means that is a very, very expensive system. And there is no business model to use the system in the competitions. No? But there is another solution based on recreate what do you think is happening in the field. And if you have a good picture of the field, and based on AI systems and the recognition of what's happening, you can recreate something virtualized, and this permits to put your virtual camera wherever you like, with the players, the artificial players, because they are recreated, not representing the reals, in a acceptable quality for analysis or for trying to show the story in a different way. No? We will see new things on this the next time.
Thank you. Uwe, take us home, to use my American colleague's phrase. How are we going to measure whether these things are successful or not?
I think they are successful because the young generation and also the old generation want to see the insights and want to see the speed at the field and all these kind of things and clips and I hope so in the next years we have a lot of new camera systems and that all these players and coaches and clubs are more open for this. So emotion is and entertainment is very important for football, and we have to push it.
We have to push it. That's an excellent way to end the session. Uwe, Dennis, Emili, thank you very much for your time. Please join me in thanking the panel for their time today.
Thank you.